Here in New Parley's workshop, it is time to get down with episode number 9. Here we go. So the last toe was a toe of plasma, so we'll swap out that minifigure, shake up our lid, see what we get, and switch it with a toe of iron. Pop that in there, and we'll spin our wheel for the toe that we will be making today. Earth. Today we will be making our second Toa of Earth. In addition to our standard build that we do every day, or every week I guess, every episode, whatever it may be, I want to make an extra challenge today, and I want to try and implement pearl gold. Because that's a color you never see on the Toa Mata build, and I have a ton of pearl gold pieces thanks to Ninjago primarily. So we're going to see if we can implement some pearl gold into our Toa of Earth. I like to go with broader shoulders, but I'm going to use these Mata hand pieces, put them as the shoulders. But in order not to make it too wide, I'm going to try and raise them up and bring them in a little bit so they connect right here above the standard torso connection points. And to do that, I'm going to put this 5-length axle through the front axle hole, connected to some lift arms, and also a connection point here for the neck. We'll have a swiveling neck. And then I can connect the shoulders to these lift arms. So here we go. Here's one shoulder in, and this is what our build will be like. It's a loose connection in the shoulder, but it is quite stable if you have it in certain positions. Insert a pin for the neck. I'm going with green eyes because I think that's my favorite color, that bright lime green. It contrasts so well with the black and with most masks, and I think it'll work okay with the pearl gold. And for the hand design, I have this old design that I used a while ago for an Anua mock, where I put one of the 1x1 round plates with a hole through it in that center pinhole, and then you can actually attach 3 claws or 3 whatevers. So I'm going to do that with this build, and I've got a few options here. Option number 1, the Tri-Trident, or Nonodent, the Swoop-de-Loop, the Overkill, the Danny Trejo, the Flaming Eagle, the Baby Bear, the Dragon's Breath, and the Wolverine. All these wonderful options, but I love the Overkill. I just think these pieces are fantastic. They look like actual fingers, and they fit well for a Toa of Earth, I believe. But yeah, I like this. Our first edition of Pearl Gold, I think, is working well. The shaping on these claws, I just love. And since I'm using some shorter arms, and with the higher up connection, I think having the long claws works well. For the legs, we're not going to do anything special, just a standard connection, standard leg design. I've got a bunch of chains here. I want to add something like a sash across the chest, like so. I could just drape the entire body in chains, but I think that would be a bit too much. So we're just going with this sash here, and maybe I see there are a bunch of the chains connected in one spot there. Maybe I could put something inside of there later on. I would also like to add something to the back, some kind of, I don't know, cape or spikes or fins or just something on the back plane to give it a little more gold and just to make it a more interesting silhouette. So I've got an idea for how to do this. I'm going to put these pins in the armholes here, and then from there I have an idea of how to connect some more stuff with these Technic connectors and just a few pins so that we can give him something interesting on his back. It's a very nice, smooth connection, and I enjoy the way that it fits inside the Mata torso. It's nice when you have these really satisfying connections where something just fits perfectly. It's so rare that things work out perfectly, so you have to enjoy it when it happens. So that is how we will add something to his back. Pop his shoulders back in. And there you go. You see, it's a wonderful fit. For the feet, I ran out of black Mata feet, so we're going to go with these stars feet. They actually have an interesting connection point here where you can put a clip around that piston area in the foot. I think it might be putting a little bit of pressure on that clip, but it's not too bad. And we'll just pop a little golden claw on here. Like I said earlier, there's some space to put something inside these chains here. So I'm just going to put this sword in, like he's got some kind of extra dagger on his chest. I don't know how he would hold it with those claws of his, but he'll figure out a way. Now it's time to figure out what to put on his back. Boom. Yeah, that works. So I had a ton of these blade pieces from various Ninjago sets, so figured I'd put them to use here. And right now it's evoking to me some kind of ancient, I don't know, sun god worshipping sort of culture or something. The design on those pieces, it's almost like there's like something inscribed on them, which is very cohesive with the Bionicle style, especially G2, where there were actually like runes and stuff carved into the masks. And that was actually, say what you will about G2, but it had some fantastic mask designs. And I know earlier I said I wasn't going to drape the whole thing in chains, but if I didn't contradict myself, I just think it wouldn't really be me. So we're going to do a bit of a skirt or a kilt here made of gold chains. I've got this pipe that I'm just going to bend the hell out of, and hopefully it'll all fit in place. There we go. We've got our golden skirt. I like the way it sounds and the way it feels. It's very pleasing to many different senses. So I put these pins in the back of the hips here, and we'll just pop this tube in on one side. It's going to be a bit stiff, so it's going to be hard to make it fit in. I have to use a little bit of persuasion here. But I think it's going to fit. I'm 95% sure. $94. Oh, almost had it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so it fits. It definitely puts some pressure on that piece. It's going to wear it down a little bit, but those pieces are meant to bend anyway. Maybe not quite this sharply, but it works for what I needed to do. And there we have our skirted, kilted character. So now it really evokes a sense of a sort of ancient culture. Something almost like the Mayans or Aztecs with the gold. I feel like this would be kind of can't be like a ceremonial character, but kind of a mystic, maybe someone with some high-ranking priestly sort of character. I'm going to try out some different masks and see which one works here. The golden Mata masks, the color is a little bit different, but if you don't really think about it and you have the right lighting on it, you can honestly forget about the difference because it's very compatible. The Kakama, the Picari, probably won't use it because it's just too much on Nua, but I do think it has the right kind of look for this. We'll also try the Evoki. It's definitely the wrong kind of gold, so I'm not going to use it. But the Evoki also has that kind of ancient Aztec Mayan sort of look to it, just with the design of the mask, the kind of the mouth shape, the fringe on the side, the kind of the blades or whatever coming off. It has an archaic feel, so it does, visually, aside from the color, I love it. And the power, I don't want this Toa to have the Mask of Light, because it just doesn't make sense to me. Unless it's just, it is the Evoki, but no, other way around. Unless it just looks like the Evoki, but it was crafted specifically to look like that, and it's actually a different kind of mask, which has happened in the Bionicle story. I think Turaga Doom or Norik's mask, one of them, their mask was designed to look like somebody else. But anyway, so here we have the Akaku. It feels too high tech, I think, for this design. The scopes and I think the more ancient feel of the rest of the build aren't working in tandem. Same for the Cow Cow. It feels too high tech. Probably won't be using it. And the How. This might be the one for me. The How is so archetypal, so fundamental to the Bionicle aesthetic. And it matches well with this character being a sort of ancient being. And yes, I'm gonna go with the How. It's one of the all-time just winningest masks in Bionicle. It just always works. And as for this character's identity, the name I'm gonna go with Bokama. Bo coming from Bamanga and Kama coming from no Kama or Vakama. Bokama. The three words to describe him: he is ancient, he is wise, and he is something of a mystic. I see this Toa as having a personality more akin to a Turaga. He's so old, so wise, but he is a Toa. So I want to say that he actually does not have the ability to become a Turaga. In a sense, he's cursed with this, not immortality, but to forever be a Toa. I'm going to say he was born a Toa, and he was made without the ability to transform to a different state. So he can't sacrifice his Toa energy to become a Turaga. And whether that it was a defect or by design, that's always been one of the questions that he's wondered about. Is it his destiny to forever remain a Toa? Or is he just cursed or broken in some way, and he cannot fulfill his destiny and become a Turaga? And in his youth, I would say that question really plagued him. But over time, he has come to just accept his role and understand that even if he can't do what he thought he was supposed to, what he thought his life cycle was supposed to be like, he can still fulfill whatever role it is that the Matoran and his civilization require of him. As a fairly typical Toa of Stone, he's going to be quite strong and have a strength of 7. For his speed, which I'm modifying to now be speed/agility, because when I've been doing these stats, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Is this a highly mobile character? Can they climb, run, jump, all that stuff? Not necessarily just speed. So it's speed and agility. And that's going to be a bit low. It's going to be a 4. Slightly below average. His intelligence is his defining trait. His intelligence is a 9. Because of the years of accumulated wisdom and also just naturally having a keen intellect. His courage will just be standard. It will be a 5. And then his skill, which again, I'm modifying that. Going forward, it's going to be combat skill. Because skill can mean a lot of different things, but in the context of these stats, I would like for it to mean combat skill. And his combat skill is going to be quite low. It's going to be a 2. He's never been a fighter. He's always been a thinker. And when it comes to battle, he would rather talk his enemy out of fighting using his wisdom rather than fighting them. So I'd say his diplomatic skill would be quite high, but his combat skill is quite low. And his endurance is also going to be low. It's going to be a 3. The years have had some effect on him. He's not quite as tough as he used to be. He's a little bit more frail than some Toa. So endurance is a little bit lower. And for his bonus points, when using his mask power of shielding, obviously that increases his endurance tremendously. But also, whenever he is just quite simply defending his people, I'm going to say his endurance goes up. It's not my most creative bonus points that I've given out, but it's what this guy needs. He needs a boost of endurance when defending his people. And that is it for Bokama, Toa of Earth. I'm tremendously happy with how the Pearl Gold situation came out with that challenge that I gave myself. I'm quite happy with the results. I feel like I could have done more on it maybe, but at the same time, if I had done more, it might have been overpowering. Let me know what you guys think about the Pearl Gold, if it works, if it would work on a different kind of Toa, or how you would implement Pearl Gold into a Toa Mata design. That's all for today. Thanks for sticking around. Catch you later.